Now we're going to introduce the Microsoft most common version of an SQL server, MSSQL. In our environment, we've got our IP address. We run an Nmap scan and we see we're up against probably a Microsoft system. It's also running port 1433. If we do an enumeration, service enumeration scan, we get back the latest, the version of the software, Microsoft SQL Server 2019. We can double down on that and run a script for MSSQL info. It'll give us a little more. We have the service, we've got the number, the exact version, and it can tell us if there's service patch, service pack, patches applied. It says false. If we don't know what that means right now, we can look it up later, but currently we just want to enumerate and pull as much information as we can. The next thing we can look into is NTLM info. And with this, we need some arguments. Tell it which instance to look at. One on 1433. And we get the target name of MSSQL server, NetBIOS domain name, MSSQL server. Store that for later. Another script we can run is an MSSQL brute force. So brute, and the arguments for this one are going to be our word lists. So for our user DB equals, we have these on our desktop. Word list, common users, then the pass DB, very similar. And we'll run that and it will brute force. Again, the arguments for the different scripts that we run are going to be based on the script. Whoever's writing those scripts determines what the variables are called. We came back with Auditor and Jasmine1, DB admin and Bubbles1, and admin and Anna Maria. We'll take advantage of that in just a second. Let's see if there's any empty passwords. MSSQL empty password. And we get one username SA with an empty password. We could enumerate that a little more. But let's take advantage of that Maria password we came across. We will run a query. Pass in some arguments. Username of admin. The password was Anna Maria. Query.query. And we will select everything from master.syslogins. And this one, because it's a weird output, we're going to output it as normal, capital N, call it output.txt, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Incorrect syntax near the star. Let's go with select, not select. It gave us this database output, which is a mess. What we can do, if we go into root, look at output.txt, made this full size, and we have word wrap turned off, we can come in and see it in a little easier to read fashion. It's a database. There's a lot of columns and a lot of rows. Could be even worse potentially. But some of the logins are these services. There are NT services, which more helpful. That's our machine services. And then it looks like there are some individual user logins. There's this built-in user and NT authority system also accessed. You can come back to this and see what's useful later. For now, we're enumerating. So we gather. Once you're done gathering, then we can go back and see what is useful. Let's dump some hashes. That's another useful thing to do because dumping hashes usually gets us. We can use hashes. We can pass the hash. Which would let us access other machines without necessarily having the password. I mean, we do have passwords here, but maybe there's stuff that didn't come with a password. There's more accounts than the few that we had before, and some hashes to go with them. Like we saw this MS policy event policy processing login in that output. I don't know what we can do with it right now, but it's useful to have. You never want to count things out in your enumeration phase. Let's see if we can run some actual code. We need a username. We will use admin. And Anna Maria is again. And then what do we actually want to ask it to do? The command will have it run an ipconfig. We get back the IP address of the machine. This default gateway could be useful to us. We might want to be using that later. See what sort of connections. But really, what's helpful is we were able to run a command in a shell on the machine remotely utilizing SQL. We saw that before with MySQL. Now we can do it with MSSQL, which can be quite handy. In this situation now, instead of an ipconfig, let's have it do type, which is the Windows version of cat, if you're more familiar with Linux than you are Windows. Let's have it read a file. So on the C drive, there was a file, flag.txt, and we got the output of that file, which is a hash in this case. It's useful to know how to enumerate multiple systems. If you come across another version of SQL, we could go into NSE, go on the website for Nmap, and see what other scripts apply in those situations. That's how we would do this enumeration thing. If you see something that isn't covered here, then you at least have an idea of what should we be looking for, what should we be trying. That's what we're trying to do here.